Niune, good brothers and sisters, what's going on? It's Mudhuta Hidokayu talking to you today. Hey, I wanted to talk about, I hear a lot of younger people talking about wage slavery and things like that. I guess you would call me Generation X. I was born in 1980. So I hung around a lot of older people when I was younger. You know, people born in like 76 through 80. Some guys I hung out with maybe a year or two younger than me. I guess that's millennials. But we all kind of think alike. Of course, our parents were baby boomers born in like the 40s, 50s. You know, that generation really, they believed in hard work, but they were also rewarded a pretty hefty reward, or hefty booty for working. You know, they had pension, retirement, so they had a high incentive to work even for somebody else. Now, when I entered the workforce, I didn't work until after I graduated high school. I didn't work until after I graduated high school, so that was 98. And I remember the gas was 98 cents. 98 cents a gallon. For 20 bucks, I could roll all week. 20, 25 bucks, I could roll all week, man. And we could buy beers, and, you know, inflation was higher than it, I mean, way lower than it is now, but higher than it was like in the 70s. But it was manageable, you know what I mean? I remember I got my first IT job as an IT tech in 08, and I made $14 an hour. I was able to afford my own apartment, my own car insurance, food. I had to budget it, right? I still went to the club, went out and did things, and always had money in my pocket, you know. But I budgeted my money. But what I'm saying is, for $14 an hour, I could get my own spot, you know. Gen Z, you can't get your own spot now, which sucks, you know what I mean? But the only people you got to blame is the Federal Reserve. Why they print so much money into the system to cause inflation? You know, inflation is the amount of money in the money system. I think they call it the M2 money supply. So you blame them and the government, because the government keeps spending money. So the Federal Reserve got to keep printing money, and that causes inflation. You know, don't blame capitalism, because China doing the same thing. So it ain't capitalism, it's the people in control, right? It's the sovereigns in control that are doing this to you. Don't blame corporations either, because corporations just play in the game. They just play the rules. Yeah, they gonna bend the rules. I mean, you would bend the rules too. You know, don't act like you some saint, that you just the victim, Gen Z and millennials. You're not. Because if things was going well, you wouldn't complain at all. See what I mean? So you can't be a hypocrite. You can't cry. A lot of these single women need a man. You know, you're not meant to be in the workspace like that, working with men and high stress. You're just not meant to do it. And if you want to do it, cool. You're going to turn into a man. You're going to become masculine, and you ain't going to be able to get a man. You're going to join some feminist stuff. But anyway, I didn't come to talk about that necessarily. Came to talk about wage slavery. I'm going to get into wage slavery. Look, you got to make a sacrifice. I'm telling Gen Z, the younger cats, you got to make a sacrifice. It's part of life. It's just, you have to make a sac. What I did was, I messed around I was like you guys. I messed around, went to a lot of clubs, dated a lot of women in Southern California, and I wouldn't take it back for the world. But even though I did all that, I still worked at warehouses. I probably had like 30 jobs. I would just bounce from job to job with these temp agencies, right? I always had the computer background, but I wanted to have fun. I didn't want to jump into computers right after high school or even college. So I didn't really go to a traditional college, but I just lived my life. I was like, I live with my mom's, you know. I live with my mom's. After my parents got divorced, I live with my dad, live with my mom. And I was lucky because I had a nice spot to stay with my mom. So I took advantage of it. I partied a lot. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. I had a lot of great memories, but I also read books. I didn't just party. I read books. And I pondered about just life. You know, after I read the Da Vinci Code, that really opened me up. Like, oh, Jesus could have had a child. And I always knew that something was wrong with the Christian story. I'm not an atheist. I never was an atheist, even though I kind of dabbled into it. It didn't make sense to me. But the Christian story I didn't believe in. And my grandparents in Compton, big time Christians, you know, big time Christians. I love them to death still. They're the model and the prototype, besides the master teacher, Malachi Z. York, that I live my life by. My grandparents were the pinnacle of a community. Like I admire my grandparents a lot, and I miss them a lot. I probably miss them more than I miss my mom and dad. How many of y'all feel like that? How many of y'all feel like that? Because our grandparents grew up in, I guess, the silent generation, but hey, they don't make people like your grandparents no more. Nah, we not like that. We not like that. Those are some real people. Those were real human beings. But anyway, wage slavery. I don't want to lose my train of thought here. Wage slavery is caused mainly by rent and mortgage. The Freemasonic architects of the system made sure that you guys are not all going to be free. I mean, and this has nothing to do with capitalism, communism, is this feudalism, whatever you want to call it. People on top always want to control people on the bottom. It's always going to be like that. There's nothing that's going to change. If you want to rise up, but understand what you're rising up against, and you better have the numbers with you, right? That's just the way it is. I'm gonna tell Gen Z and millennials, it's been like that for hundreds of thousands of years, and it's not going to change in your generation. Even somebody in your generation will rise up to rule you, right? When you guys get older, like my age, you know, I'm 43, but you know, when you guys get older, you'll start to see some people just get sucked into power and are easily manipulated and influenced. So it does seem like you guys have a natural reaction to inflation, where you guys realize that you're working for nothing. And I feel it, because that's why I lived with my mom for such a long time. I was spoiled, you know. Thank God I had good parents, good hardworking parents. I could take my time and figure out what I want to do in life. A lot of people don't have that, you know what I mean? So I'm at where I'm at now. You know, I'm in the truck, but I also run my own business, right? So I use the money from the truck to get the products that I need, because I built my own house. We have land as a nation, and I built a house on it, so I don't have a mortgage, and I don't have rent, I don't have electricity bill, I don't have a water bill. I got a truck, I haul my own water I get 40 gallons for a quarter. And I have a 525 Piggy. They call it I have a military trailer. They call it a Piggy, I heard, but it's a military trailer. So, but anyway, you got to make moves like that. You got to make moves. I moved out of Las Vegas, out of San Diego County, into northern Arizona, because now I'm looking at the long term. Like, look, I'm like you guys. I don't want to work to the day that I die, or work to retire at 65. No. I'm not trying to wait till I'm 50 to push the Beamer. I pushed the Beamer at 26. I'm sorry, 28 when I got into IT. That's when I got some good money coming in, and I got a good deal from a Saudi Arabian guy, peace to Muhammad, if he's watching this, out in Montclair, California. But look, you don't want to work for anybody. I feel that. Them rich people up top don't want to work for nobody either. That's why they up there, right? I mean, the wealthy people. Rich is a Latin word. The wealthy people up there. But you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. You guys are quitting jobs, and I quit jobs too. I didn't have a plan, but I had somewhere to go. I see some of you guys living in your cars. See, I can go back to my mama's house, you know, and that's what I want to do for my children. Hey, you don't like that job? Make sure you got to work, but if you don't like it, come on back home. I love my sons and daughters. Come on back home. We'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Your daddy done taught you some things, some skill sets that you can use out here in the world. You can definitely use it to help to build the nation, right? So, but you guys need a plan, man. You guys, inshallah, you must have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then you plan to fail. If you just don't want to have nothing, I hear some of you guys, Gen Z, say, I don't want to own nothing. That's cool. Then, go on, do what you got to do, but make sure you're happy with it. And make sure that when you're young, 18, 19, 20, 21, your young college years, that understand at that age, you're probably not going to get the job that you love. Understand that you must make sacrifices, all right? That's all Brother Mudhuta is saying to you today, especially young Moors, Morenas, Ma'urut, that's in the Wabik. But make sure you understand your sacrifice. You will make a sacrifice. You're not going to get everything you want as spoiled Americans right out of college. I don't care what they told you. I'm telling you the truth, not the sooth. I'm telling you the truth. You're going to work. I worked many jobs I didn't like. Are you crazy? Many jobs. I either got fired or they quit. They were just temp house warehouse jobs anyway. I worked at Taco Bell for 2 months. I worked wherever I could to put some money in my pocket. Don't ever walk around here with no money in your pocket. Ever. You'd be 50 years old washing cars and stuff. Plan. Where am I going to be at in the next 5 years? Just plan. Work on your plan. That's where you need to put the work at, is in your plan. What am I going to do at this time? Where am I going to be? What's the next step after that, if you can think that far ahead? But have a plan. I'm telling the youngsters, Generation Z especially, maybe young millennials too, your plan must never stop. Before the plan, the mission. What is your mission in life? If you don't have a mission in life, you're going to be led the wrong way. Trust me, you're going to walk down the wrong path. And we don't want that for you. We don't want that for you. Make sure you walk down the straight path. All right? Oh, yeah. I got my work shirt on. It's Legend Transportation out of Phoenix, Arizona. See, I work for somebody too. But I could walk away if the situation is not right and go back to my house, which is mortgage free. See, I need that for a peace of mind. I need it for my mind. And I think the Arabic word, I say aqaliyah, which means mindset, not actually mind. But so anyway, mission, plan. If you need to get with me about that, that's fine. If no one's ever talked to you like this, your parents have been wishy-washy and the American exceptionalism. There is no more American exceptionalism. China is the exception now. And Russia's making money. The sanctions have backfired. Ukraine's backfiring. Israel's backfiring. Everything American doing is backfiring. You don't live in the time of American exceptionalism. That's like Woodrow Wilson times, like early 1900s, when America was on the rise. There was no middle class. After World War I or II, it's one of those, then the middle class goes. The middle class thing is only temporarily. It's only temporary. It was to get you to work harder, right? So you could, but at least people back then could afford to pay off their house. Now, as the architects of the system would look and see people are paying off their house, these people sit down at a table. The powerful people in America sit down on the table and they say, well, how can we get more out of the average American worker? You used to be able to pay off your house in 3 to 5 years. I know y'all can't believe that, but yes, in 3 to 5 years, There was an Archie Bunker episode that said, "Oh, Archie, you paid off your house like in 6 years." He worked a regular job, had a family. If y'all watch Archie Bunker, you see it. He worked for like 6 years, paid off his house. He could have not worked again in his life. That was average back then. But they said, nah, that's too easy. The architects of the system, they didn't like you having that much power over your own life. So what they did was they made the mortgage higher, and they made the loans for longer years, like 15, 20 years now, inflated. I think in the 70s is when America went through a lot of inflation. So that's when, look it up they have all this on YouTube. I learned a lot of this on YouTube. Look up even pensions. They've been cutting people's pensions since the 1960s. That didn't just start in the 70s and 80s and the 401k came in. They've been cutting for a long time. They actually have a federal corporation that deals with pensions that corporations cannot pay. And the liability, y'all got to learn this system. You got to learn the system and stop crying like little punks. That's what the older generation doesn't respect about Gen Z, especially the little girls in their like 20s. Oh, I'm not trying to talk about living in luxury, but I can't. Nobody respects a whiner and a crier. You don't like it? Do something about it. And making a video on TikTok and YouTube, that ain't doing nothing. That ain't doing nothing. Inshallah, that does nothing. You got to actually get out in the real world and speak to your people about what's going on, and form a group, a grassroots organization that's looking out for people and informing them about this system. See, y'all don't know about this Freemasonic system that they've used to entrap you. And it don't matter what race you are. Black people say, oh, they were targeting. I see poor. I got more money than a lot of Caucasians. So it ain't, and I'm living proof that no, it's not based on race, because they're enslaving their own race too. If you're talking about Caucasians, they're enslaving their own now. The rich ones, it's a class warfare. It's all about class warfare. And America doesn't have much of a culture, so there's nothing really to lean back on. But that's all by design too. They don't want you to have nothing. They want you to lean on them as your only salvation. Even the church is in with the government. You can't go to the church. The church, what the church gonna tell you? To give more money to the church? How's that gonna make me better? I don't mind giving money to the church if I'm also benefiting with the community. But hey, y'all, I know I'm ranting on here, but the wage slavery thing, it's been going on for a while. They've actually had, I was watching YouTube, and they had, back in the early, maybe 1840s, around Lincoln's time, they had a Republican, they put out some kind of advertisement, and they said, it's a Republican ad, and they said, Democrats want to put you in the wage slavery, and they had the picture like a monkey. And they were talking about wage slavery back then. You know what I'm saying? So that middle class thing was only a blip in time. It's only a short blip. Look what's happening in China. A lot of people are falling out of the middle class. There's no such thing as the middle class. They made it up. Just like the American dream. The American dream was only like an advertisement. And then people kept repeating it to foreigners. So foreigners started to be, oh, there is no American dream. There never was. Never. There never was an American. Look at my face. Ain't no American dream. Never was. You drunk the Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? You drunk the Kool-Aid. That's all it was. We all drunk the Kool-Aid. Dreams are just dreams. Dreams are not visions. Visions are real. Dreams are just dreams. You can dream about anything you want. You can dream Jesus coming back. It don't mean he really coming back. That's what you believe and dream. That's cool. I mean, people can live in their own fantasies. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of women live in fantasies. So, so it's harder on us men because men deal with reality. And a lot of weak men want to be gay and stuff. And, go ahead and be gay. I mean, if you want to act like a woman, because women live in fantasies, you want to live in a fantasy, go ahead. That's on you. But y'all gotta snap out of it. Gen Z, even people my generation, Generation X, they're not so much into the because we grew up without the internet. We were there when computers first came out, like the Apple IIe, Atari came out, the first Nintendo. What else came out? The Commodore 64 came out back then. You know what I'm saying? A lot of technology was coming out. We got our, because my dad worked for Computer Science Corporation, we got our first computer like in '88, right? My dad would come home and build computers in our garage in Walnut, California, and I'd be out there helping him. Well, sometimes I would. I was lazy. I just wanted to know how the video game worked, so I would get into the autoexec.bad.config.sys. But anyway, that's old stuff. That's how I got in the computer industry. It wasn't through going to school. It was because my dad used to bring computers home. We used to fix them. So that's what, you know, my dad wasn't the perfect dad, but he gave me that. I wouldn't be here where I'm at today without that. It's not about going to college. College is over with. Everybody got a degree now. It's in the market, a college degree is like nothing. It's like a napkin. So anyway, I'm out. Wadu. Hopefully this message is taken the right way, inshallah. And hope everybody has a wonderful day.